Jai Hind, dear students, and a very good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the another class of our online session. Today we are going to discuss a very beautiful poem written by Pablo Neruda, the Chilean poet, that is Keeping Quiet. In the poem, we are going to discuss about the poet. Further, we will go with the explanation, the literary devices used in the poem, the theme. In the poem, the poet advocates to keep quiet and still for a while, to introspect and understand ourselves and our relationships, and to build a peaceful and harmonious world over. He asks all the human beings to stop all worldly activities for a while and spend few quiet moments in introspection. So basically, the theme of introspection and retrospection has been raised by the poet in this poem. Now, what is introspection? So, introspection means the examination or observation uh, of one's own mental and emotional processes. Okay, that is called introspection. When we go deep inside ourselves and do self analysis of our behavior, of our whole mental and emotional processes, that is known as introspection. Okay, so the poet is laying an emphasis of to be being quiet and to do introspection and retrospection to maintain a peace in the world. Okay, so dear children, let us begin with the description of the poet. So, about the poet Pablo Neruda, he was born in 1904 and died in 1973. Uh, Pablo Neruda was the pen name and later legal name of this famous Chilean poet, diplomat, politician. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1971. He wrote in green ink, which was his personal symbol for desire and hope. His writings are simple, wherein lies their beauty. Originally written in Spanish, the essence of this poem is based on introspection and retrospection. The poet feels that some soul searching is needed for us to be at peace with ourselves and others. The poet advocates that in this fast pace, when everybody is in a rush, in a hurry to achieve something, we should take out some seconds or a minute for ourselves to introspect and retrospect. So let us begin with the poem, the very first stanza. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So dear students, you can see that none of the last word is rhyming with any other word in the stanza. So the poem is written in free verse. It does not follow any particular rhyming scheme. Let us begin with the explanation part of the first stanza. The poet is saying that a piece of introspection and retrospection needs to be done. The poet asks everyone to count up to 12 in their mind. The number 12 represents the hours of the day or the months of a year. He wants all of us to be calm and still. People across the nations have to unite together so they shall not speak their own language. Rather, they all shall keep quiet and speak the language of silence. The poet wants everybody to remain silent for a minute. Further, poet says that this will bring unity among all the humans on the face of the earth. For at least one moment, no one shall move his arms either to signal or to fight or argue with each other. By using the word arms, he means the weapons which are used by different countries to raise a war against each other. So basically, the poet is demanding peace from all of us. He wants everyone to stop and calm down. The poet urges everyone not to speak any language. Okay, so in the first stanza, the poet is saying that he will count till 12. He requests everyone to count till 12 in their own mind and to stop for a while. So as you can see here on the screen, he wants to unite the people across the nation to speak the language of silence instead of speaking different languages. A message for unity, peace, and universal brotherhood. That's what poet wants to give through this first stanza. Now let us move to the second stanza. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Poet says that, in second stanza, poet says that, what? Poet says that it would be a rare situation when there will be no engines working. When there will be a silence all over the world altogether, then it will be a rare moment. You can relate to the Modi ji's request for being there or at 5 o'clock with thalis, burtons to play. That was a rare moment. It never happens every time. The whole country come together to pay a tribute to our corona warriors at that time. It was a rare moment. Similarly, the poet is saying that it would be a rare moment when there will be no engines working. Here he wants to say that everything comes to standstill. It will be a very different moment. If all the engines like the vehicles and machines stop, then there will be a sudden strange situation as the world will experience a sudden calmness, silence. People will not be in rush to achieve material things one after another. Further, the poet says that the fisherman will also stop and not harm whales in the sea. This means that the poet is urging everyone not to harm the animals. He wants everybody to stop for a moment. Here he gives the examples of whales which are being hunted for the purpose of food or trade. He also wants people to calm down so that they can stop and see what they have achieved or lost till now. He wants that people, he is saying that people, they are running, they do not have time to look what they have achieved. So he wants everybody to stop and see what they have achieved or what they have lost. For this, he gives the example of the man who gathers salt, whose hands are hurt. Here, he wants everyone to stop for a while in order to see and feel their achievements and how much they have lost for the sake of attaining such materialistic things. No person would be harming any other living being either for food or to earn his livelihood. The crux of the second stanza, which you all can see here on the screen. All the people who work endlessly will get some time to look at their injuries and the damage they have caused to their body. The poet is saying that we are so busy in achieving our goal that we do not have time to look ourselves, to look, to introspect, to retrospect ourselves, what we have achieved till now, what we have lost till now. He gives the example of whales which are being hunted for the purpose of food or trade. He also wants people to calm down so that they can stop and see what they have achieved or lost. This reminds us of a line from the poem Leisure by W.H. Davies. What is life if full of care we have no time to stand and stare? Very beautiful line. We all are running, running, running. We do not look within ourselves. We don't have time to look within ourselves and to introspect. Now let us move to the third stanza, dear students. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. So, the poet asks everyone to stop those activities which are damaging environment. Today, all the human beings are making money by damaging the environment with their activities such as mining, deforestation, letting the chemical waste into rivers, etc. So, uh, dear students, so the poet is saying that we should stop polluting the environment. The poet asks us not to do so, not to pollute the environment. He also requests people not to involve in wars as there is no benefit of achieving such victory in which no one is left alive. He says so because wars and environmental damage will lead to no life on earth. Rather, he wants people to adopt a new approach towards life and mankind. He says that you should treat your enemy like brothers and promote peace and harmony in the world. So when he says, I want no truck with death, that means he says that I do not want you to kill your enemies and send the truck loaded with dead bodies. Okay? Dear student, let us move to the explanation part. Let us see. The poet here wants the people who exploit the green wealth of nature by deforestation or mining or fishing in the deep seas, and the soldiers who use weapons to kill fellow human beings need some time to introspect into the consequences of their actions. He wants them to put on new clothes, that is, to adopt a new approach towards life. If you can see there, it's there, no? Would put on clean clothes. That means, clean clothes here means to adopt a new approach towards life and to realize that killing so many people is not a victory. He wants all of us to be united as one. Consider our enemy to be our brother. He is promoting brotherhood, peace, and unity. He does not want us to stop our works, but to take some time and analyze the result of our deeds. So when you see now here in the line, if you can see, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. He says that I do not want you to stop your work or become totally inactive, because when you are introspecting, you are retrospecting yourself, that time also you are active because you are introspecting. He does not want you to be idle, stop doing your work. He's saying that I do not want total inactivity. No, I'm not saying you to put your work on hold and do nothing. No, he's saying that I want you all to just take out some moment to introspect yourself. Okay, now let us move to the next stanza, fourth stanza of the poem. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. So, dear students, now the poet wants to clarify to his readers that when he asks them to stop from saying or doing anything, he doesn't want anyone to become a non-active person. Non-active is a person who remains idle and doesn't do anything. Here, he simply means that we should stop and see the consequences of our deeds, of our actions, what we are doing. We should see their consequences also. The poet doesn't want to see people being killed due to their greed for money and expansion of territories, means wars. Further, he says that people are continuously working to achieve their task without even thinking about their result. They are in fear of death and therefore want to achieve most of the things before their death. Here he urges them to stop for a while and take some moment to relish, to cherish on what they have achieved till now. He's saying that people, they are so much afraid of being dying. When you see here about keeping our lives moving, and for once could perhaps a huge silence. Huge silence here means death. So he's saying that we are threatening ourselves with this fear of death. And because we all know that we are going to be dead, we want to achieve everything before dying. But are we really relishing those moments? Suppose if I have achieved something, am I really cherishing that moment? No. Now I have achieved one thing, I have to get started to achieve something next. So that's what poet is saying. He's urging to all of us to stop for a while and take some moment to relish on what we have achieved till now. Everyone here is living a life in which he wants to achieve various things one after another. But now the poet says it is the time to stop and see what has been achieved and should be enjoyed. This will help us This will help us skip the sadness which has become so prominent in our lives. The sadness of not enjoying what we have achieved and the greed to achieve what next is in the list to be achieved. Okay, so the poet is saying that we should stop for some time. We should cherish those moments of achievement. We should introspect. Okay, now let us move, dear students, to the next slide. So you can see here the explanation part. All human beings work endlessly with the aim of completing all their tasks. They are driven by the target of survival and the threat of death. So they are in a mad rush to accomplish all their works. He says that perhaps if they pause for a while, they can appreciate their achievements and their lives would become happier. He suggests that by keeping quiet, we will be able to understand the true purpose of our life. Now coming forward to the 5th stanza, perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So the poet suggests us to take a teaching from nature. How? He says that we should learn a lesson from earth. During the winters, everything freezes and becomes lifeless. You all know. But when season changes and it's the onset of spring season, everything present in the nature, such as the trees, birds, rivers, etc., gets life. So here, the poet, by giving the example of nature, wants to say that all human beings should stop try to judge their needs. We should stop for a moment to judge our deeds, our actions. Okay? They can try and make their life better with calmness. He said, peace is very important to make your life better. Finally, he ends up by saying that now he will count up to 12 so that we all may become quiet. Here, quiet means to calm down ourselves and move towards the path of peace and harmony. After saying this, he says, I will go. He says so as he has conveyed his message to the people and wants them to be left alone to think about it and work in the direction of peace. Okay, so this is all about. Now let us move to the explanation part for your convenience. He says, as the earth undergoes changes in winter, everything freezes, become lifeless. But after some time, the season changes again and everything comes back to life. Similarly, taking a pause and introspecting into our lives will give it a new meaning. We will be able to understand the purpose of our life, what we are doing, where we are going. It will be like a rebirth of the soul. What we have achieved till now, how happy we are, how sad we are. Okay, so the poet has conveyed all the people the purpose of his message, and so he asks them once again to take a pause, count till 12, and walks out of the scene, keeping the scene open for all the people on the earth to experience this for times to come. Okay, so dear students, this was our poem with the theme of brotherhood, harmony, peace, introspection, retrospection. Let us discuss about the literary device used in the poem. So dear students, the very first literary device which is used in the poem is alliteration. Alliteration, occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. So where alliteration is being used, you can see here, we will, once on, the O sound is repeating, O, and we would. We would in the second stanza. Let us move. Here you can see W sound is repeating. Sudden strangeness, S and S. So here there is alliteration. Okay, so next literary device is repetition. What is repetition? Repetition is like, you know, in some lines or in some stanzas, when the same words or phrases comes a few times to make an idea clearer and more memorable. For example, you can see here on the screen, without rush, without engines. Without rush, without engines. So without and without is repeating. So here repetition is being used. And then there is another word, wars with. Let me show you. Wars with gas, wars with fire. So wars with and wars with is repeating. That's why repetition is used here. Okay. Now let us move to the next literary device, that is symbols. What is symbols? Symbols which used as a symbol for something else. Like let me give you an example, then it will be clear to you all. Here you can see the word cold sea. Can you all see? Fishermen in the cold sea. Now cold sea is symbolized as polar region. It is symbolized as polar region. So the literary device which is used here is symbol. So literary device which is used here is symbol, because it indicates something else. That means it indicates a polar region. Now let us move. So these were the literary devices which has been used in the poem. Literary devices, simile, metaphor we have already discussed. I want you to go through the poem and see whether it is used here or not. Now some important questions which you should know, that what will counting up to 12 and keeping still help us achieve? Here the poet emphasizes on the importance of taking a pause from our busy lives and to introspect within ourselves. He wants the people to take a break from all that they are doing to have a mutual understanding. This understanding is essential to the poet as it brings a feeling of brotherhood. Okay, so this is what the poet is emphasizing through this poem. Now there is another question, important question. Do you think the poet advocates total inactivity and death? No. The poet says in the lines, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with. So the poet is Poet does not advocate the total inactivity. In fact, he says that by silence, he only means a quiet introspection, not death. It is clear from these lines that he does not advocate total inactivity or death. Which lines? What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. Okay. Now the next question. What is the sadness that the poet refers to in the poem? The sadness referred by the poet in this is the disappointment which exists in our lives despite the fact that we are busy with our own life. This is so because we are ruining our lives by our deeds. We are just running. We are not taking time to think about the destruction we have caused. We are doing such works of destruction that we are digging our own graves of sadness. Okay? So dear students, this was all about our poem Keeping Quiet. I hope the explanation part must be clear to all of you. In our Zoom class, we are going to cover the figures of speech, which is very important while explaining the poem. Question answers I will send as usual in the form of PDF. I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care, stay safe, stay protected, and stay indoors. Thank you. Have a healthy day ahead.